Have you ever been petting your cat? Everything feels calm. They're purring, rubbing their face against your hand, maybe even curling up beside you like they completely trust you. And then, out of nowhere, they bite you. Not hard enough to seriously hurt, but enough to make you pull your hand back. And in that moment, most people think the exact same thing. What's wrong with my cat? Did they suddenly get aggressive? Are they just mean? But here's what most cat owners never realize. A huge number of cat bites don't come from aggression at all. They come from overstimulation. Your cat wasn't trying to hurt you. They were trying to say, I can't handle any more of this right now. The problem is, cats rarely communicate that with loud, obvious signals. They communicate it quietly, through a flicking tail, a twitch in their skin, a sudden pause in their body. But most of us miss those signs completely. And when those softer warnings go ignored, the bite happens. Not because your cat is evil, not because they stopped loving you, but because biting became the only way left to make the interaction stop. And honestly, that's the heartbreaking part. So many people start seeing their cat as unpredictable or aggressive, when the cat was actually trying to communicate the entire time. And once you understand the difference between a mean cat and an overstimulated one, the way you see your cat changes forever. You start realizing they never wanted to push you away. They just needed you to notice the discomfort earlier and stay until the end of this video. Because there's one tiny petting mistake most owners make every single day that accidentally teaches their cat that biting harder is the only thing humans finally listen to. 1. The tail flick most people ignore. Have you ever been petting your cat? Everything seems perfectly fine. They're purring, leaning into your hand, maybe even closing their eyes like they never want the moment to end. And then suddenly, their tail starts flicking, just a little at first, back and forth, almost easy to miss. Most people ignore it, because honestly, it doesn't look serious. But that tiny tail movement changes everything. That's not random. That's one of the first signs your cat's nervous system is starting to get overwhelmed. Here's what most owners get wrong. Cats don't usually go straight to biting. They warn you first, quietly, through small signals most humans were never taught to notice. A twitch in the skin, ears rotating backward, their body becoming slightly tense, and especially that tail, because while your hand still feels affectionate to you, to your cat, the sensation may already be becoming too much. Cats have extremely sensitive nerve endings across their body, and repetitive touch, especially for too long, can slowly shift from comforting to irritating. A study from the University of Lincoln found that many cats show increasing stress signals during prolonged petting, even while appearing calm on the surface. And that's the part people misunderstand. Your cat can still love you, and still become overstimulated at the exact same time. So when that tail starts flicking, don't wait for the bite. Pause for a second, pull your hand back gently. Let your cat decide if they want more contact. Because every time you respect those early signals, you teach your cat something powerful. They do not need to use their teeth to make you listen. 2. Why petting too long triggers the bite. Have you ever noticed your cat asking for attention, rubbing against your arm, climbing into your lap, even pushing their head into your hand for more pets? And then suddenly, they bite you. That moment confuses almost everyone, because from a human perspective, it feels completely contradictory. How can a cat beg for affection and then attack the same hand, giving it? But here's the thing. Cats don't usually go from loving touch to hatred in 2 seconds. What's actually happening is something called petting-induced overstimulation, and most owners have never heard of it. A cat's body is incredibly sensitive. Every stroke across their fur creates sensory input, and at first, that stimulation feels comforting. It releases calming chemicals in the brain. It builds connection. It feels safe. But when the touching continues for too long, their nervous system can slowly cross a threshold. The same sensation that felt good 10 seconds ago suddenly starts feeling overwhelming, almost irritating. And this is where people accidentally misunderstand their cats. Because many cats don't immediately walk away. They freeze first. Their pupils widen slightly. Their tail begins moving. Their back muscles tense up. But if the petting still continues, the bite becomes the final message. A study from the University of Lincoln found that cats consistently showed lower stress levels when touched around the cheeks, under the chin, and near the ears, while repeated touching around the lower back or base of the tail increased signs of discomfort almost immediately. So the solution is not to stop loving your cat. It's learning when your cat has already had enough. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop touching them before they feel forced to make you stop. 3. The biggest mistake: ignoring the pause. Have you ever been petting your cat and suddenly they stop moving completely? Not walking away, not biting yet, just freezing for a second. Most people keep petting right through that moment. Because honestly, it doesn't look like a warning. But that tiny pause might be the most important signal your cat gives before a bite happens. And here's what most owners never realize. Cats rarely attack out of nowhere. There's usually a moment right before it happens, where their entire body changes. They become still. Their muscles tighten slightly. Their breathing shifts. Their eyes widen just a little. That freeze is not random. It's your cat's nervous system, switching from comfort to alert mode, almost like their brain is saying, "I need this to stop now." But instead of noticing the discomfort, most humans keep going. More strokes, more rubbing, more stimulation. And for a cat who already feels overwhelmed, that can feel unbearable. Animal behaviorists often describe this as a conflict state. Your cat still wants connection, but their body can no longer tolerate the physical input, and that emotional conflict creates tension incredibly fast. Which is why some cats bite just seconds after looking perfectly calm. Not because they're unpredictable, but because the warning signs were silent. And this is where everything changes. The moment your cat pauses, stop touching them immediately. Don't yank your hand away. Don't panic. Just create space. Then wait. If your cat nudges your hand again, or moves closer on their own, you can continue gently. But if they stay still, or walk away, respect that decision. Because every time your cat realizes, they can communicate discomfort without needing to bite. Trust grows. And slowly, those sudden bites start happening less and less. 4. Why some cats bite while purring. This is the part that confuses almost everyone, because in our minds, a purring cat is a happy cat. So when your cat is sitting in your lap, purring loudly, looking relaxed, and then suddenly bites you, it feels impossible to understand. How can a cat sound completely content and still lash out at the same time? But here's what most people never realize. Purring does not always mean pure happiness. Cats also purr when they're anxious, overwhelmed, injured, or trying to calm themselves down. In fact, many behaviorists believe purring is sometimes a form of self-soothing, which means your cat can actually be enjoying the interaction, while also becoming overstimulated at the exact same time. And honestly, that emotional mix is what makes cat behavior so misunderstood, because humans tend to think in extremes, happy or angry, loving or aggressive. But cats don't experience touch that way. Your cat may genuinely love being close to you, love your warmth, love the affection, while their nervous system is quietly reaching its limit underneath all of it. Think about being tickled for too long. At first it feels funny, then uncomfortable, then suddenly unbearable. That's surprisingly close to what many overstimulated cats experience during prolonged petting. And this is where things get tricky. Most owners hear the purring and assume everything is still okay, so they keep petting, even while the cat's tail starts twitching. Their ears rotate slightly, or their body begins tensing up, and eventually, the bite happens, not because the love disappeared, but because the stimulation became stronger than their ability to tolerate it. So stop relying on purring alone. Watch the whole cat, because your cat's body is often telling the truth, long before their teeth ever do. 5. The hidden reason some cats bite harder over time. What if the real problem isn't the bite itself, but the way humans react to it afterward? Because this is where many cats slowly learn. That gentle communication doesn't work anymore. Imagine this. Your cat gives small warnings first. Their tail flicks, their body stiffens, their ears shift backward, but nobody notices. So eventually, they bite. And suddenly, that's the moment humans finally react. They pull away. They yell. They stop touching the cat. And without realizing it, they accidentally teach the cat something powerful. Small signals get ignored. Biting works. That's why some cats begin biting faster, or harder over time. Not because they're becoming meaner, but because experience taught them their softer boundaries don't matter. And honestly, that changes the entire way you should look at cat aggression. Because many so-called aggressive cats are actually cats who gave up trying to communicate gently. And here's where things get even worse. Some owners respond to bites with punishment. They yell, push the cat away, tap their nose, or physically restrain them. But studies on chronic stress in cats show that punishment often increases defensive behaviors instead of reducing them, because fear does not create trust. It creates anticipation. Your cat starts expecting negative reactions, which makes their nervous system even more sensitive during future interactions. So the next time your cat bites, don't explode emotionally. Don't punish them. Instead, quietly stop the interaction. Create space. Let your cat calm down. Then later, reward relaxed and gentle moments with affection or treats. Because the goal is not teaching your cat to fear you, it's teaching them. They never need to escalate to biting, just to feel heard. 6. The one spot that changes everything. I remember earlier when we talked about the tiny petting mistake that can teach your cat to bite harder. This is it. Most owners pet cats in the places that feel natural to humans. Long strokes down the back, rubbing near the tail, or reaching for the belly when the cat rolls over. But to your cat, those spots can feel completely different. Especially the lower back, the base of the tail, and the belly. These areas are packed with sensitive nerves, and for some cats, touching them feels intense almost immediately. Not loving, not relaxing, too much. That's why a cat can seem fine for a few seconds, then suddenly whip around and bite. You didn't necessarily hurt them, but you crossed into a zone their nervous system couldn't tolerate anymore. And here's what most people get wrong. A cat showing you their belly doesn't always mean, please touch this. Many times it means, I trust you enough to be vulnerable near you. And when you reach in too fast, that trust can turn into a defensive reflex. So here's the shift. Stop trying to pet every part of your cat. Focus on the places most cats actually enjoy. The cheeks, under the chin, the base of the ears. Go slow. Use short, gentle touches, then pause. Let your cat lean in if they want more, because when your hands become predictable, your cat stops bracing for the next uncomfortable touch. And that's when the biting begins to fade. Not because you controlled your cat, but because your cat finally feels safe enough, not to defend themselves from your love. So, here's the truth most people never hear. An overstimulated cat is not a bad cat. They're not trying to dominate you. They're not secretly angry. And they're not biting because they stopped loving you, most of the time. They were communicating long before the bite ever happened. Through a flicking tail, through tense muscles, through a tiny pause, almost nobody notices. But cats communicate quietly, and that silence is exactly why they're so misunderstood. Because when humans miss the softer signals, cats eventually learn they need louder ones. And sometimes, their teeth become the only language left. But once you start noticing those early signs, everything changes. Your cat becomes easier to understand. Petting becomes calmer, and those sudden bites start happening less and less. Not because your cat changed, because you did. You stopped seeing your cat as unpredictable, and started seeing them as sensitive. You stopped trying to control every interaction, and started listening to what their body was already saying. And honestly, that shift can completely transform the relationship between you and your cat, because the goal was never forcing your cat to tolerate more affection. The goal was making affection feel safe in the first place. And when a cat finally realizes they can trust you to stop before things become overwhelming, something beautiful happens. They relax more deeply around you. They stay beside you longer. They stop bracing themselves for touch. Because now, your hands no longer feel unpredictable. They feel safe. And that's the difference between a cat who merely tolerates affection and a cat who truly trusts the person giving it. If you want to understand your cat on an even deeper level, check out our next video where we talk about the hidden signs your cat is emotionally attached to you. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and join our feline loving community.